also ask that you ensure all electronic devices are silenced or turned off. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Honorable Barbara M. Barrett, Secretary of the Air Force, welcome to your United States Air Force Academy and the combined Superintendent's Change of Command and Retirement Ceremony honoring departing Superintendent Lieutenant General J. Silveria and incoming Superintendent Lieutenant General Richard Clark. I am Master Sergeant Alejandro Vieira, and I will be your narrator for today's ceremony. Because today's ceremony is outdoors, military members are reminded that salutes will be rendered during the playing of honors and the national anthem. During the national anthem, all citizens of the United States and military members not in uniform should face the flag and place their right hand over their heart or render the hand salute. At this time, we would like to recognize our honored guests in attendance with us today. We extend a warm welcome to General Silveria's wife, Virginia Silveria, and their sons, Mr. John Silveria and Lieutenant J.G. Connor Silveria, along with all of General Silveria's family and friends. We would also like to welcome General Clark's wife, Amy Clark, their daughter, Zoe Clark, and unable to join us today, their son, Milo Clark. Also in attendance are General Clark's family and friends. We would like to welcome all United States Air Force Academy's senior staff members in attendance with us today. Although time does not permit us to introduce all of our distinguished guests, we would like to welcome and thank you for attending this historic occasion. Today, the Honorable Barbara M. Barrett will transfer command of the United States Air Force Academy to Lieutenant General Richard Clark and retire Lieutenant General J. Silveria. A centuries-old tradition, the change of command is a military custom deeply rooted in history and tradition, dating back to the time of Frederick the Great of Prussia. In that period, military organizations developed flags with unique and specialized colors and designs. When the soldiers followed their leaders into battle, they kept sight of their flag. If the banner still waved after the conflict, it was a sign of victory. Having the position of great importance, that flag was incorporated into ancient change of command ceremonies. The organizational banner was exchanged in public for all to see that he who holds the flag is the unchallenged and sovereign leader of the armies. The modern-day ceremony is principally symbolic, yet it still announces to all the authority of the incoming commander in the finest of military traditions. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of honors, our national anthem, and the invocation. The presiding official for today's change of command is the Honorable Barbara M. Barrett, Secretary of the Air Force. Accompanying Secretary Barrett is the Chief of Space Operations, General John Raymond, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., the Superintendent, Lieutenant General J. Silveria, and Lieutenant General Richard Clark. This morning's invocation is offered by Chaplain Colonel Julian Gaither, United States Air Force Academy Chaplain.
Let us pray. Almighty God, in the quiet of this gridiron, transformed to match the moment we gather, Air Force, Space Force, senior leaders, co-workers, family, and friends, to honor you and to praise leadership of good men. We hear the words of Winston Churchill. To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. As the flag is held a final time by Lieutenant General J.B. Silveria and then passed to Lieutenant General Richard M. Clark, may we all feel the blessing, wisdom, and a consciousness of your presence. Inspire us with your wisdom that we may appreciate the true nature of command. May the spirit of justice, care, concern, and dedication to duty be the Lieutenant General Silveria's legacy to all the cadets, the men and women of our academic environment, and the Colorado Springs civic community. May you continue to be with General Silveria and Virginia as they leave to recharge on the beaches of North Carolina and retire in the DC area. We pray your support for Lieutenant General Clark as he returns to lead the United States Air Force Academy, and we welcome home Amy, Zoe, and Milo to their new USAFA family. We thank you Also for Lieutenant General Clark's parents, Margot and Richard, for their support for their son throughout his Air Force journey. Now may our patriotic duty be performed at our highest level of expertise. Where these leaders face relocation, give them safety. Where they face decision, give them wisdom. And where they face travel, always be with them. And finally, may we fulfill the requirement of Micah 6:9 to do justly and love mercy and walk humbly with our God. I close today with a quote from Tuskegee Airman General Benjamin Oliver Davis, Jr. The privilege of being an American belongs to those brave enough to fight for them. May we all learn, may we all fight, and may we all serve our great nation each day. Always in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Gaither. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is our great pleasure to introduce the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr.
Well, good morning. It's a real pleasure to be here on this very nice Colorado morning. You know, as I came in as the 22nd Chief of Staff of our United States Air Force, I outlined 4 focus areas and 4 action orders: A, B, C, and D. And A is about airmen, developing leaders, and empowering our airmen. This is my 3rd trip away from Washington, D.C. since I've come into position. I've gone to Lackland, gone to Maxwell, and now at the United States Air Force Academy. 3 locations where we develop leaders and empower airmen. I want to thank all the folks that are here today, Secretary Baird, General Raymond, all of our elected officials, many distinguished visitors, those that are watching online, the Air Force Academy faculty and staff, the cadets, and family and friends of both the Silverias and the Clarks. It is a great honor for me to be here today, to be with 2 great leaders and 2 great Air Force families. You know, Serena and I have known the Silverias for about 10 years now. We served together as wing commanders in Europe. We spent many a time next to pools around Europe where our kids swam in the European Forces Swim League. Jay was my deputy when I was the Air Component Commander for United States Central Command, and then I had a chance to continue to work with him when I went on to Central Command. In his tenure as superintendent, Lieutenant General Silveria has led with tremendous investments at the Academy, using technology to develop leaders of the future. He's worked on our STEM education for our cadets. He's used technology to advance their learning experience, and he's enhanced their safety, and all while continuing to instill the time-honored Air Force core values and traditions. When Jay came into position, one of the guidance pieces he got was how do we bring back an operational focus to the Air Force Academy. At the same time, the National Defense Strategy came out in 2018, which led us to think about great power competition. And so Jay's done all that to create the operational focus for our cadets. He's always been a leader that's been out front. He leads by example, both in word and deed. He doesn't shy away from a challenge. He often rises to the occasion to address tough topics like diversity and inclusion. And since the very first cadet back in March was diagnosed with COVID-19, Jay and his team led with care, compassion, and decisiveness. They led the way with mitigating measures while continuing the critical USAFA mission, developing our future officers. Jay, I want to thank you for an extremely well-done job. We're very excited for you and your family. To the Clarks and to Rich Clark, he's a demonstrated leader. He's been a Commandant of the Cadets. He served as a commander of both the squadron and the wing, and a 2-time numbered Air Force commander. He brings a wealth of joint leadership experience. He's the right leader to foster education, empowerment, and enthusiasm needed for the future. I'm confident he's going to be a tremendous superintendent. You know, leaders develop future leaders. And Rich Clark is the right leader to develop the courageous officers we need to compete deter, and win. Now, if you tuned in to my address at the Air Force Association last week, I discussed my strategic approach of accelerate change or lose. Our United States Air Force Academy is foundational to accelerate change, providing a quality education driven by empowerment and enthusiasm. USAFA provides a world-class education, developing future leaders to think and act boldly. An institute of empowerment, developing inclusive and open-minded leaders able to affect change. Producing leaders with enthusiasm, who enjoy challenge, who dare to take smart risk, who are excited with the opportunity to lead and drive change. And I'm confident that Rich Clark will carry forward the excellence in education, empowerment, and enthusiasm that Jay has made the USAFA standard. To Jay Silveria and Rich Clark, thank you both for what you've done and what you will continue to do to ensure United States Air Force Academy is an institution of education, empowerment, and enthusiasm. Producing leaders, our Air Force requires to compete, deter, and win now and into the future. Now, I've spent the last few minutes talking about the accomplishments and the careers and the successes of both Jay and Rich. And it reminds me of an important truth, that success takes help, failure you can do alone. Success takes help, failure you can do alone. The key to success for these two gentlemen is in love and support of their families. To Virginia, John and Connor, to Amy, Milo, and Zoe, thank you for your love, encouragement, and steadfast support. As military spouses and military families, you're often the unsung heroes. Today, I want to make sure that we all pause to give thanks to true, tremendous Air Force families, to tremendous Air Force spouses. Thank you so much for what you've done for our Air Force and will continue to do. To Jay and Virginia, Shireen really wanted to be here to reconnect with you, but we look forward to seeing you back in the Washington, D.C. area. But we want to congratulate you both, not only what you've done here at USAFA, but what you've done over the 35 years in service to our nation and service to our Air Force. You both created a wake of positive influence, impacting so many airmen and their families. And your legacy will live on in the cadets that you've had a chance to interact with and the thousands of airmen and family members who have benefited from your leadership. Rich and Amy, Shireen and I are very excited for you and your family as you take on the leadership position here at the Air Force Academy. We look forward to watching your leadership, providing world-class education and leadership development for our cadets, ensuring that we graduate, they are empowered to lead with an spark of enthusiasm to do great things for the future of our United States Air Force. I know together we will succeed. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, General Brown. We would now like to welcome the Chief of Space Operations, General John Raymond.
Good morning. It's an absolute privilege to join Secretary Barrett, General Brown, to honor the distinguished 35-year career of Lieutenant General Jay Silveria and welcome Lieutenant General Rich Clark to the helm of the United States Air Force Academy. Excuse me. To our distinguished guests, colleagues, family, friends gathered here today, thank you for your support for these two outstanding leaders. At the class of 2020's graduation on the 18th of April, I empowered our newest lieutenants to help build the Space Force from the ground up, to create a warfighting culture, to be bold, to create a digital service, and to innovate, to outpace the threats, to meet the National Defense Strategy. Thanks to Lieutenant General Silveria, those lieutenants who have met my charge head on. He was the right leader to transform USAFA to address the rapid changes occurring across the global security environment. Jay's experience as the Deputy Combined Force Air Component Command, where he employed multi-domain capabilities. Also at the Air Warfare Center, where he developed the Air Force's operators to integrate those multi-domain combat capabilities. And as the vice commander of 14th Air Force, where we had the privilege of serving together for like 1 week before, in fact, like an hour before the change of command, I got a call saying, hey, guess what? General Silveria is going to the Warfare Center. All those experiences gave him the absolute right experiences to lead this Air Force Academy at a very critical time and to lead it into the future. Jay understands that the wars Academy graduates may be called to fight in the future are not the same wars that he fought in. They'll be multi-domain wars of cognition. They will begin or extend into space. Fortunately, the Air Force Academy is no stranger to space. The United States Air Force Academy established the Department of Astronautics in 1958. 42 NASA astronauts once walked across the terrazzo. But with an eye to the future, General Silveria took action, ensuring the Academy provides an educational foundation for enduring advantages in space. Under his charge, the astronautics program expanded opportunities to learn space by doing space. Just last fall, the Academy relaunched the Space Operations Major. Academy just recently announced that a data science major is about to be established, which will prepare lieutenants to build the Space Force as the first digital service. And today, every cadet that comes to the United States Air Force Academy can complete a minor in space warfighting. And finally, Jay established a Space Force office here at the Academy to recruit the best talent and maintain an open dialogue with cadets and faculty. So Jay, from J to J, congratulations on a spectacular career. Thank you for the sacrifices that you've made in service to our nation. And to Virginia and your boys, I can't thank you enough for all you have done to support the space professionals, the airmen, and the Joint Force, and their families. Your impacts will endure in those that you have graciously led. Molly and I wish you the best in the years ahead, and we are really excited to get you to Washington, D.C. and share a bottle of wine with you. To Lieutenant General Rich Clark, Amy, and Zoe, we are honored to welcome you back to Colorado Springs and to the Academy. But I will tell you, we were sad to see your car depart Bolling Air Force Base, where we've been privileged to be your neighbors. And I know you're going to be missed at the Mitchell Loop, and especially at the gazebo. Thank you for all you do. And Rich, you know, I was thinking, if you look through and you read about Rich, Rich didn't come from a military family. In fact, I don't think you even knew about the Air Force Academy until a counselor at a high school pointed him this direction to the preeminent school for aspiring aviators roughly 39 years ago. After graduating from the Academy, Lieutenant General Clark became an expert aviator, a commandant of cadets, a distinguished and highly regarded commander. Now, you are charged with a new and unique opportunity to build the Air Force Academy, to continue to build the Air Force Academy into the institution of choice for aspiring air and space professionals. Rich, you have the initiative, the character, and the intellect to develop the bold officers we need to fight and win, and to meet the national defense strategy. You are the perfect leader. In fact, I can't think of a more custom-built leader for this job, to serve as the 21st United States Air Force Academy Superintendent. Congratulations to you and Amy and your family. And Molly and I couldn't be more excited for you, for the United States Air Force Academy, and for the cadets that you're privileged to lead. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, General Raymond. I would now like to welcome the Honorable Barbara Barrett to the podium.
General Brown, General Raymond, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this historic ceremony. Today, as we celebrate the United States Air Force Academy, we also celebrate a titan of leadership. Lieutenant General Jay Silveria has been educating and molding the future of our Air Force. Since Lieutenant General Silveria took command in 2017, nearly 3,000 cadets have commissioned into the United States Air Force or Space Force. 5 months ago, 86 Academy cadets made history when they commissioned as second lieutenants into the United States Space Force. Personally, the Academy holds significant meaning to me. I chose to be sworn in here on this great campus in the light of the Oculus, because I thought this is the place where the future and where character is formed for the United States Air and Space Forces. Just a year ago, I was sworn in, just about a year ago, so I consider this a very special institution for me personally and for the nation. This is the heart of the United States Air and Space Forces. As Air Force Academy Superintendent General Severia has championed the United States Air Force Academy's core values of integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. The North Star for almost 700,000 airmen and space professionals. At the Air Force Academy, General Severia wears two official hats. As college president, he's responsible for undergraduate and athletic advancement. As a military commander, he's responsible for military training and character development. Ultimately, he molds more than 4,000 cadets at a time, from high-achieving men and women into officers defending our nation. General Severia's tenure as superintendent builds on his personal legacy of excellence, including a master's degree from Syracuse University and a fellowship at Harvard. More than 3,900 flight hours in 5 aircraft, including 180 combat hours over the Balkans and Iraq. He was a commander of a flight squadron in England, and Air and Space Operations Center in Germany, and a fighter wing in the United Kingdom, and 4 assignments in Southwest Asia. General Severia recognized more emphasis was needed on STEM education. He led faculty, staff, and cadets in expanding technical curricula for the 21st century Air Force and Space Force needs. And he gave Academy personnel tools to succeed in the 21st century by upgrading this campus with cloud-based systems and interactive classrooms. This year, General Severia led the Academy confronting a new adversary, COVID-19. As the nation locked down, General Severia, along with a nimble faculty and dedicated administration, developed safety and health procedures to keep seniors on campus and graduating the entire cohort of second lieutenants 6 weeks early. Jay, thank you for your better ideas over the last 3 years. You have dedicated 35 years to the Air Force, and yes, a lifetime to protecting the nation. Job well done. And now your worthy successor. Lieutenant General Richard Clark is an experienced warfighter, a credentialed academic, and a proven leader. General Clark has an exemplary flying background, having qualified in 7 training and operational aircraft. General Clark has more than 4,200 flight hours, including 400 hours in combat. On the academic front, after taking his spot in the long blue line, General Clark continued pursuing excellence and learning. He earned master's degrees from Webster University, from the Naval Command and Staff College, from the Air Force's School of Advanced and Space Studies, and the National War College. He's also a graduate of the esteemed United States Weapons School, and he was a White House Fellow. A tremendous leader, General Clark has experience that has been acquired over 4 continents over his 3 decades of service. His career is legendary. He has commanded the 34th Bomber Squadron at Ellsworth Air Force Base. He led the 12th Flying Training Wing, where his visionary leadership propelled AETC into the 21st century learning programs. He served as commandant of this esteemed institution. He will be the only superintendent to have been commandant. He led the 8th Air Force, where he transformed the bomber culture, and he led the 3rd Air Force, commanding 8 wings and more than 32,000 airmen. Most recently, General Clark served as the Deputy Chief of Staff for Strategic Deterrence and Nuclear Integration, where he directed two legs of the nation's nuclear triad. Rich, you epitomize integrity, service, and excellence throughout your career, and now you will instill those fundamental values into future Air and Space Force officers. We are deeply grateful for your leadership, and we thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Barrett. The position of superintendent is unique in the Air Force. The superintendent is responsible for our Air Force's premier institution focused on developing leaders of character for the United States Air Force, the United States Space Force, and our nation. The superintendent accomplishes this mission with their staff of 3,500 military and civilian professionals, which encompass a myriad of professional, intellectual, physical, and character development programs. Our nation requires intelligent, assertive, well-rounded young men and women to defend its freedom. The superintendent's mission is to develop more than 4,000 cadets in a highly structured 4-year regimen of military training, academics, athletics, and character programs, leading to a Bachelor of Science degree and a commission in the United States Air Force or United States Space Force as a second lieutenant. As a key source of Air Force and Space Force officers and one of the nation's top educational institutions, the United States Air Force Academy is entrusted with producing highly motivated leaders able to assume the highest responsibilities of command. The change of command ceremony is a celebration of both continuity and change. Continuity in the form of a military tradition of which roots reach back through time to the legions of ancient Rome, to the passing of signets that symbolized the transfer of command from one to another, and change, as this great command says farewell to an honored leader and welcomes his successor through a ceremony that differs only in style, not substance, from those of the Romans. The passing of the colors symbolizes the passing of command and is done in a ceremony so all may witness the changing of leadership responsibilities. Lieutenant General Silveria will relinquish command of the United States Air Force Academy. Then, Lieutenant General Clark will assume command of the United States Air Force Academy from Secretary Barrett. At this time, the men and women of the United States Air Force Academy will render their last salute to Lieutenant General Silveria. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the change of command. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Headquarters, United States Air Force Academy, Special Order Number G-20-30. Lieutenant General J. B. Silveria relinquishes command of the United States Air Force Academy, and Lieutenant General Richard M. Clark assumes command of the United States Air Force Academy, 23 September 2020.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our new superintendent. Please be seated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the 21st Superintendent of the United States Air Force Academy, Lieutenant General Richard Clark.
38 years ago, I stepped onto this field as a freshman on the Falcon varsity football team as we logged our first victory of the season against San Diego State University. That day was significant because it was the beginning of my journey with a team that taught me to fight and win, and that shaped me as a leader and a man. Almost 4 years later, I stepped into Falcon Stadium for another significant day when I tossed my hat in the air as a graduated senior from the school I love with 1,000 other second lieutenants who I would die for if necessary. I didn't realize how much I loved it back then, but now I know that everything I am today is a result of the things I learned and the development I received from the United States Air Force Academy. Today, as I step on this field once again, it is significant because I'm honored and privileged by the opportunity to give something back to the school that has given me so much. And it is my goal to prepare every cadet to make their dreams come true, just as my dream is coming true today. There's so many people I have to thank for this moment, but first, I have to give the glory and honor to God for allowing me to stand right here, right now, because everything I am and every opportunity I've had, I owe to him. I want to thank Secretary Barrett, General Raymond, and General Brown for your kind remarks and for having the confidence in me to take on such a tremendous responsibility for our Space Force, our Air Force, and our country. I also owe a huge debt of gratitude to my good friend Jay Tonto Silveria and his wife Virginia, who have been absolutely amazing as a superintendent team, despite the fact that Jay's from the class of 1985. You and Virginia have led our academy with courage, brilliance, and style, and I promise that Amy and I will take up where you have left off and keep moving down the field. To the Association of Graduates, the Air Force Academy Foundation, the Air Force Academy Athletic Corporation, and the many other organizations who help reinforce the Academy and our entire cadet wing, thank you. And I look forward to joining you and the long blue line of Academy graduates as we continue to move forward. To Mayor John Sutherland and our other fantastic community partners from across Colorado Springs and throughout the state, thank you for your partnership, and I look forward to our continued collaboration. Most importantly, I'm honored to have so many family and friends who have traveled to be here today. Several of my Falcon football teammates and 1986 classmates are with us, to include two of my roommates, Dwan Wilson and Gino Pissarro, who are not allowed to talk to anyone after this ceremony because they know too much. I want to give a special thanks to my parents, Margot and Richard Hunter, not only for being here today, but you've been there for every significant moment I've had on this field and throughout my life. I'm grateful for everything that you've done for me, and I love you. Thank you to my dad and my stepmother, Richard and Lenora Clark, who are on live stream. I'm grateful for all that you've done to make this moment real as well. To my sister Emily, who's here from Baltimore, and my brother Philip, who is watching the live stream from California, I love you guys, and thank you for keeping me grounded. I'm also honored to have Amy's mom and dad, John and Adrian Purcell, in attendance today because they, along with the rest of the Purcell-Smith extended family, are the best in-laws in human history. I'm always looking for brownie points. And I'm blessed to be a part of your family. And finally, the three people who mean the most to me, Zoe, Milo, and Amy. Zoe, you're an amazing young woman, and thank you for rolling with the punches on this move and every move. And as a side note, Zoe is not allowed to talk to a man until she's 24 years old. I'm just putting that out there. One downside of me being selected for this honor is that our son Milo had an appointment to the U.S. Air Force Academy class of 2024, which was his childhood dream. And he also had an ROTC scholarship to Harvard. He was on the fence, but leaning towards USAFA. And when he learned that I was going to take this position last April, his first reaction was to give me a big hug and a congratulations on getting my dream job His next statement was, "Harvard, here I come." I guess that was the tipping point, so he's watching right now from the second best school in the world. Milo and Zoe, I love you, and I'm proud of you enormously. Finally, to my best friend, to my most beautiful friend, and to a true force of nature, Amy. Thank you so much for all that you've done for me and the kids to help us achieve our dreams. Our family calls Amy the great enabler, and I cannot wait to see the great things that you're going to do for the families and the cadets of this great institution. Thank you, and I love you. There are so many others, past and present, who I owe this moment to, from the great Tuskegee Airmen who paved the way for me and for the Air Force we know today, to the many bosses and mentors I've had, like Lieutenant General Skip Scott, my superintendent, who changed my life, and Generals Bill Looney and Mark Welsh, who gave me the opportunities that allowed me to grow and learn. As my legendary coach Fisher DeBerry used to say, if you see a turtle sitting on a fence post, you know he didn't get there by himself. I'm living proof of that universal truth. To Team USAFA, you are the engine of this academy, and a powerful one at that. I look forward to continuing the priority efforts that you and Lieutenant General Silveria have moved into place and progressed down the field. The most important one is our prime directive to develop leaders of character, and that will always be our top priority. We must ensure that when our graduates are judged by the content of their character, that the judgment always rules in their favor. We will also continue to prioritize your incredible fight against COVID-19, and though some of us are finished with COVID, COVID is not finished with us. We will continue the brilliant approach you have adopted with a reliance on scientific and mathematical expertise, extraordinary teamwork, unwavering perseverance, and strict adherence to guidelines. And we will win this battle. Another key priority in the development of our leaders is to continue building upon our culture of dignity and respect for all. It is not only key to our success as an institution, it's key to the success of our cadets as they prepare to lead in an increasingly diverse Air Force. I'm also eager for us to continue pursuing the stand-up of the Institute for Future Conflict. The current strategic environment demands it, and our future leaders must be prepared to fight and win our future wars by solving problems that we don't even know about yet. These efforts are already underway, but we must find ways to move smartly and quickly in order to accelerate change, or else we will lose. I know this incredible team is up to the challenge. And finally, but most importantly to the cadets, you are my purpose for being here. Thank you for choosing to serve and for starting your journey here. All of you had other choices, but you chose USAFA. As you know, it isn't easy even in the best of times, and every class brags that they had it tougher than any other class. But I believe the bragging rights for toughness will belong exclusively to the classes who persevere and thrive during these challenging times. And the greatest character development will belong to those cadets who toss their hats in the air after graduation despite the devastation of a global pandemic. It will be my greatest honor to help you achieve your dreams as you continue to fight to join the long blue line. Always remember the age-old adage, tough times don't last, tough people do. I'm proud of you, I'm here for you, and I promise that I will leave it on the field for you. Let's do this.
At this time, the men and women of the United States Air Force Academy will render their first salute to Lieutenant General Clark.
Thank you. Continue today's activity.
Lieutenant General and Mrs. Clark, the men and women of the United States Air Force Academy, and the civic leaders from our surrounding communities welcome you. We will now proceed with the retirement portion of today's ceremony, as we pay tribute to General Silveria and his family on the occasion of his retirement, a career culminating in 35 years of distinguished service to the United States Air Force and our great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Secretary Barrett presents the Distinguished Service Medal to General Silveria. Attention to orders. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress, July 9, 1918, awards the Distinguished Service Medal to Lieutenant General J.B. Silveria for exceptionally meritorious service in duties of great responsibility. General Silveria distinguished himself as Superintendent, Headquarters, United States Air Force Academy, Colorado, from 11 August 2017 to 31 October 2020. During this period, General Silveria's exceptional leadership was instrumental in leading a diverse organization of more than 4,000 personnel and 7,400 cadets and cadet candidates across 4 wing-equivalent commands. As the commander and university president, he focused on meeting the operational needs of the air and space forces, increasing the number of slots for pilots, cyber operators, and space operators, resulting in nearly 75% of cadet graduates commissioning into operational career fields. Additionally, General Silveria's remarkable leadership was crucial in realigning the Academy's Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Office, improving program effectiveness, and resulting in the program's highest inspection rating in over 6 years. His vision and initiative were critical in securing a 10-year accreditation from the Higher Education Learning Commission, ensuring the Air Force Academy remained an elite degree-granting institution. Furthermore, General Silveria's commitment to fostering a culture of dignity and respect created lasting conversations about equal opportunity across the installation and resulted in an institutional review for biases within the Academy's policies, processes, practices, curriculum, and artifacts. Finally, throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, General Silveria guided planning and coordination efforts, ensuring the health and safety of cadets and permanent party, and the unprecedented execution of academics and training to include the accelerated graduation of the class of 2020. General Silveria's tireless efforts provided a world-class education and character and leadership development for over 4,000 innovative second lieutenants. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of General Silveria culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect the highest credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as Secretary Barrett retires General Silveria. Attention to orders. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force, Special Order ACG-000048, effective 31 October 2020, you are relieved from active duty, organization, and station of assignment, retired effective 1 November 2020, per Air Force Instruction 36-3203, in the grade of Lieutenant General. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Mrs. Silveria, John, and Connor, will you please come forward to pin on General Silveria's retirement pin? Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Barrett will present Mrs. Silveria with the Air Force Certificate of Appreciation. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Virginia Silveria for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff. Thank you, Mrs. Silveria, John, and Connor. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General J. Silveria, United States Air Force, retired.
Well, good morning. There have been so many speech binders that have made it to the podium. This could be General Raymond's, I'm not sure, so. Thank you. What an amazing scene. Okay, it's a little odd. It's okay that we all think that it's a little odd. I'm not sure why Steve and Sheila De Palma are sitting 6 feet apart, but we can talk about that later. But it's certainly an odd morning. I graduated from the Air Force Academy in 1985. Some of my classmates are here. I was seated somewhere in the formation over where General Lorenz is seated. And I walked off the field after I threw my hat. I watched the Thunderbirds fly over. I hugged a few classmates. I looked for my family, looked for where Virginia was, and then I began a 35-year journey. So here I am, right back in the same spot. It wasn't the Thunderbirds, it was a couple gliders. I'm still undecided about throwing my hat. For the general officers that are here, when you know how much we've spent on these hats, you'd understand. I'll look for my family, I'll find Virginia, and we'll walk out of Falcon Stadium. Madam Secretary, Chief Raymond, Chief Brown, thank you for being here. It's such an honor for the Academy to have you here. It shows the importance of the Air Force Academy to the Air Force and to the Space Force, so thank you. For the formations here today, thank you. The cadets, the military, the permanent party, you represent everything about USAFA. And you have to know that it's just remarkable. You can't quite see them, some of our faculty that are in their academic robes, so thank you. You just look fantastic. You represent the mission that we have here. Colonel Wong, Harold, thank you. Thank you for the work today. I greatly appreciate it. Changes of command are so important for an organization. They mark the end and a beginning. We say thank yous and some smiles, but more importantly, we look forward. Changes of command are not about looking backward, but about looking forward. But indulge me for a minute, because I have some of those thank yous to say, and then we can all get excited about the future of USAFA. To the friends who are here, and so many that made the trip in, you're hidden behind the face mask, I know, too many to name. Please know that it means so much to me that you are here. Each of you are a part of me in all of these years where I needed the support, the friendship, the love, and the care that you all gave me, so thank you. There's a thank you to the National Park Service for allowing Ranger John Silveria to be here today, and a thank you to the commander of the USS Annapolis, who allowed the nuclear reactor on his submarine to be without one of its tenders. Lieutenant Junior Grade Connor Silveria, thank you both for being here. Virginia, in just a few minutes, we're going to walk out of the stadium. We're going to head to the beach just like we did 35 years ago. And I can't wait to set my personal record for days without wearing socks with my toes in the sand. As I said before, and I've actually said this in a number of change of command speeches, that Virginia really, really dislikes I love my wife speeches. So because of that, I will never admit to loving my wife in public. But I will say that we all owe her a thanks for her service, and I admire you for what you did for the United States Air Force, so thank you. Thank you. To General Clark and Amy, Rich, I just can't imagine anybody else. I just can't be more excited about you taking over as the superintendent. You will no doubt take the United States Air Force Academy to even greater heights. The position here is like no other in the Department of the Air Force, and I greatly look forward to being a prior soup. And like those before me that were ready to help me when I called, at any moment. Please call me anytime, and I will be there for you. What an incredible time these past few years. And it started with one of the greatest moments of my career when 75 of my classmates showed up for my change of command. There were so many of them that they set up an extra set of bleachers down on the terrazzo, and embarrassingly, they threw cheese. They threw Spirit cheese, and I apologized then, I can only apologize now. But my journey started well before my time as a superintendent. There were 18 moves in a dozen locations. We lived in 4 countries. I visited dozens of countries. There were nearly 4,000 flying hours, a dozen deployments, amazing opportunities that the United States Air Force gave me. In 35 years, you should know that the idea of me not being a part of the Air Force is actually more than 35 years in the making. I had a dependent ID card when I was 10 years old that I picked up at the CBPO. I graduated from a Department of Defense high school and 4 years as a cadet here. There's only blue in me. I bleed blue. And the fact that I'm able to end my career at the Air Force Academy with the chance to make a difference and shape the future of our Air Force and our Space Force has been nothing but a privilege. The fact that I had a chance to return to Colorado Springs in the great state of Colorado made it that much better. There's community leaders here, those that have supported me here in my time. USAFA enjoys such great support from the community. And so many across the city and the state that couldn't be here for the graduation of the class of 20 that put out flags in support of that class. And my smartwatch tells me that I have nearly 900,000 of vertical feet on the ski slopes of Colorado since I've been here, so clearly I enjoyed the great state of Colorado. I want to say a special, heartfelt thanks to the faculty, staff, coaches, AOCs that are here today. It's an honor to watch you work. You are amazing people that care so deeply about developing cadets. What you do on any given day is amazing. But then we started to continue the mission in a worldwide pandemic. And I could do nothing but be amazed. Very few will know the great lengths that you went to keep the mission going with remarkable agility, from the 10th Air Base Wing to the Commandant's staff, incredible medics, our nationally famous biology department at this point. I could go on. And when called on, when it was hard, when it was nearly impossible, you figured it out. And not only did you figure it out, you wrote the book. And at this point, institutions all over the country are reading that book. And the Department of Defense continues to have us brief on how we did it. To the senior leaders of USAFA that are here, Joel, Casey, and Dawn before you, Mel and Tim before you, Jen, Nate, Brian, Chris, Linnell, Michelle, Sarah, Gail, Otis, and Houston before, it was so enormously difficult, and few will know what it took to graduate the class of 20 and rebuild this institution to function in a pandemic. I use your first names intentional because it took incredible people and human beings like you to do what few knew about. Regardless of rank and service of experience, we had no checklist. We sat down and we started. I and so many owe you so much that we're even standing here today. You changed the athletic corporation, you changed the athletic department, you changed the curriculum. We've achieved an accreditation for the next 10 years. You led the nation in undergraduate research. You changed basic training. You made military training more deliberate, intentional. We sent 1,500 people to pilot training. The first lieutenants to commission in the Space Force. We've reshaped the care network around the cadets. You handled 1 million visitors before we closed to 0 visitors. You made cultural changes across this institution. You took care of 19,000 acres and 25,000 members of the community. And we increased the number of women and the number of minorities at this institution to historic highs. We renamed the airfield the Benjamin O. Davis Airfield, and then we changed the Air Force song to better represent our service. There's some drawings in my office that are original architectural drawings before the first dirt was turned here at the Air Force Academy. And I have them in there intentionally to remind me to always ask myself, are we meeting our original intent that General Harmon gave us? The graduates must have skills, General Harmon insisted. It was about what was next. And I believe our intent here is to continue and prepare graduates for what is next. We're about to build a $60 million cyber building, stand up an Institute for Future Conflict. We do testing and development of RPAs. We've gutted the second floor of Fairchild for a Center of Air Power Studies to also not just teach air power, but to teach command and control of air power. And there are cadets up in the cadet area right now, as we speak, that are controlling satellites that they designed and they built. And General Raymond, we commissioned the first 86 lieutenants into the Space Force, and it was a special moment that I am so proud to have been a part of. I've had the privilege of knowing graduates from the class of 2017 all the way to the class of 24. And if anyone ever wonders about our future as a nation, believe me, we are in good hands. I've watched them fly gliders and teach others how to fly gliders. I've stood in the Vice President's office as one of them received an award as the top cyber practitioner in the entire federal government. I've heard them brief their research and been awarded a patent. I've watched them solve a USAFA problem by writing code in their own dorm room. I've watched them achieve amazing athletic feats on the field and then get back to studying. And I've heard the most insightful conversations about race, discrimination, and inclusion. Trust me, they can teach all of us. And trust me, we are in good hands. So 3 years ago, I said, when I stood on the terrazzo, that I would always be ever mindful that one of these amazing cadets would first serve with me and then replace me. So now it is time for one of you to replace me. Thank you.
Thank you, General Silveria. The men and women of the United States Air Force and the Air Force Academy are proud to have served with Lieutenant General Silveria. We extend to Lieutenant General Silveria and Mrs. Silveria our very best wishes and continued success as they depart. And we welcome Lieutenant General and Mrs. Clark back to the United States Air Force Academy family. Please stand for the playing of the Air Force song by the United States Air Force Academy Band and remain in place for the departure of the official party and special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. We ask that you please remain in place until the distinguished visitors have departed and the ushers release you. You are invited to join a receiving line to welcome Lieutenant General and Mrs. Clark in the Falcon locker room. As a reminder, if you removed your masks during the ceremony, we ask that you please place them back on and practice social distancing guidelines when moving about. Those wishing to attend the receiving line, please exit to your right and begin forming a line from the locker room. Thank you for attending today's special event, and have a great Air Force Day.